Hey advanced students, we are focusing on third round material, going to second round, working your first red stripe on the arm bar. So let me take a moment and make sure you understand the difference between the words wrist lock, arm lock, and arm bar. When we talk about wrist lock, we're talking about moving the hand so as to create pain or discomfort in the wrist. An easy way of looking at it, when you take the hand further than was intended to go, or you take the hand in a direction it was never meant to go, we're creating what's called a wrist lock. The second word we sometimes use is called an arm lock. An arm lock is where you're putting the person in a position where it puts pressure on the shoulder in a direction it was never meant to go or further than it was intended to go. That's wrist locks and arm locks, and that's when we do the 13 for purple belts going to brown belt. Now we're going to do arm bars. Now arm bars is an easy idea. Elbow naturally moves this way, so when we do an arm bar, we're trying to move it the other way. The best place to go is the elbow joint is right here, and right behind the elbow joint there's a nerve right here, and this is what we're trying to irritate every time we do an arm bar. So this is a 14 arm bar series, but one of them is really not an arm bar, it's a shoulder lock. So there's actually 13 arm bars, and then we're going to do one shoulder lock, but we do call it the arm bar series, okay? So the first one we're going to do is he's going to punch right, step right, and I'm doing my roundhouse block to the inside. So he comes in, and I go roundhouse block, and then your goal is to make this ridge hand go behind the elbow. See, when most people punch, the elbow right now is over here to the side. What we need to do is we want his elbow underneath for arm bar number one. So instead of, because he's going to punch like this, so I need to take my ridge and force him to turn that elbow. And at that point, you'll notice his palm actually comes palm up. So that's the biggest thing I want to really point out, especially with arm bar number one. So he goes to punch, I go roundhouse block, I come underneath, and then I'm just going to cut just like this. And then, by the way, as I go through this series, we're going to also do it from a different angle so you can maybe see it a little better in case you missed something. Number two is the same idea, but instead of doing it the same arm facing him, I take the other arm and I'm going around, and once again, I'm cutting across that nerve, and now I'm here, and once again, have my arms in a figure four. Number three, I'm just taking that same elbow joint and just putting it under the shoulder, just like this. Number four, you got to get behind him, and now you'll notice that I put the hand more back in the regular punch position, or the palm is down, because I want to get behind the elbow now. I'm going to put that right on my ribs, and from this position, I'm simply going to stretch him across. So this is arm bar number four. By the way, don't forget, if you're practicing this with somebody, keep in mind that if you feel any pain or discomfort, make sure to tap out to let them know, ouch, that hurts, please don't keep going. Now number five is the same as number three, except for one little difference. Number five, you are on the outside of the arm. So you notice his palm is up, I'm behind the elbow, and I'm just pulling down over the shoulder. Number three, we were on the inside. Number five, you're on the outside. Number six, we're going to readjust so you can see this differently in a moment, but we're going to put our palm right behind the elbow with the knife edge being the main point of pressure. And you notice how I take his hand and I like to turn it so it's palm up, okay? So I want to rotate it this direction as much as I can. And as I'm doing that, by the way, it's a lot like wrist lock number two. Sometimes when I'm doing wrist lock number two, I love to do arm bar number six. So in this case, I turn his hand, I put my palm behind his elbow, and I'm just going to press him down to his hands and knees. Now when you're working with your partner, we want on arm bar number 6, 7, and 8, we want the partner just to go down and stay on their hands and knees like this until we get to number 9, okay? So here we go. He goes to punch. Number 6, I'm on the outside, and I just simply press down with my palm behind his elbow. Now I'm going to have him move from a different position so we can get set up for the one later. So he goes to punch again. So once again, number 6, I'm on the outside, palm behind the elbow, and I press him down to his hands and knees. Now from here, I'm going to take this leg and I'm going to replace my hand with the back of the knee. And you just go into a cat stance like this. So you notice once again how I got his palm turned all the way like wrist lock number 2, but I just keep it against that leg real tight. And then in order to break his elbow here, all I would actually have to do is just put my heel on the ground. So all I'd be doing was do this motion, but it's with this right here, okay? And that's what creates that pressure. Number 8, I'm sitting right on his shoulder, and now I turn the palm back down, and it's like I'm sitting down and lifting up. And this is the one that's not an arm bar. The concept of this is you're behind the shoulder. And the best way to illustrate this, if you could go ahead and stand up, you'll notice that if a person can turn their hand, like palm down here, his elbow, especially if I keep turning it, his shoulder can go very, very far. But if his palm is facing forward and I start pulling back and I have a way of holding his shoulder here, he gets to a point where his arm does not go any further. And so that's what we're doing. We're actually sitting down and pulling up on that arm and making it going further than it was made to go. So once again, now that you understand that, so number 6, we got to here. Number 7, we get to here. And then number 8, I'm going turning just a little bit so you can see this next one a little better. I'm here and I'm pulling up on his arm, so please be gentle with it. In real life, you would just sit down real fast and yank up on that arm if you were trying to dislocate someone's shoulder. Number 9, I'm going to roll over him. So he's just going to roll over. I'm going to lay right here. I'm going to put his elbow right against my leg, and then I'm pulling down. Now what I'm trying to do is 2 things. As I pull down, I'm going to lift with my hip and pull down his arm, and that's what creates the pain or discomfort right onto that elbow, okay? Let me go ahead and demonstrate this from a different angle so that you can see this just a little better, and I'll try not to hit the bob over there. All right, so he's here, laying in position, and all I'm doing is I've got my leg across his body, I'm sitting down with his elbow right against my hip, and notice how his palm is straight up. And then from this position, I'm just simply lifting up my hip. But notice I'm not pulling it across my groin. It's on my hip bone, right across here. And so I just lock it, lift my hip as I pull down. And please be very gentle with this because you're using your whole body to go against that elbow. That is number 9. Now number 10, the way we practice this is we just have the person put their hand around you, like they're just being a friendly person. And all I'm going to do is, as he does that, I reach around, I grab my hand, and then I just spin, so I'm going against that elbow. Now, remember, armbar number 1, we wanted his palm up because we wanted the elbow down here. But number 10 is where the elbow is over here to the side. So this can also work against a punch. If he swung a punch, all I'm doing is blocking it, going around behind it, and then I'm just breaking that arm as I turn my body. But to teach you this movement, we just have the person put their arm behind, or reach behind, and turn. All right, so one more time, just so you can see that. He comes up, I reach behind, and then I just turn. Number 10, we'll move this way just a little. Number 10, my instructor used to like to say number 10 should have been number 1. The reason is it teaches you about where that nerve point is on the elbow. So he goes to punch, I block, I grab his wrist, and the way I like to teach this is I have people bend the elbow so you can make sure you see where the elbow is. You lay the palm there, make a fist, and you're going to take these knuckles and you just give them a noogie. All right, just like the bigger brother always giving a noogie to their younger brother, right? So you're just right here and you give them a noogie right on that nerve. And as you do, straighten out the arm. And as soon as the arm is straight, you can feel that pain or discomfort. And it really helps you understand where that nerve point is. So one more time, he punches, I go block and hook, I got the elbow bent, palm right there, make a fist, and then straighten the arm as you give him a noogie. The next 3 are all about your hands are up and someone's punching and they either get their hand on the outside or in between your hands. The theory of these next 3 is that he punches and somehow my hands were already up or my hands were already up and his arm ended up here or his arm ended up here or his arm ended up here, and I can make an arm bar out of any of those situations. It's not supposed to be a prearranged idea, but of course when we teach it, we're prearranging it, okay? But number 11, he goes to punch, and I do a forearm block to the outside of his elbow. I hook to the inside, I lock it to my body, doesn't matter if the hands are open or closed, and then I just turn. Okay, and again, I'm just rotating my body and doing a forearm strike basically behind that elbow. So one more time, forearm, trap, turn. Okay, the next one is the double forearm block. So he punches and he ended up on the outside of my arms. So now I'm going to take this hand and wrap around and lock it. I get this hand behind his elbow, and as I go behind his elbow, see how I'm trying to rotate his elbow by rubbing on that nerve and pressing down, okay? And this looks a lot like your movement in Pinan 2 when you do the spear hand. So watch that one more time. Double forearm, wrap, and spear hand, just like that. I'm just putting that knife edge right behind the elbow, and then I just press it on down. The last one, he goes to punch, and the way I was taught this was to do a knife hand block to the outside, bring the other hand underneath, and then you slide both hands down and you grab the hand. And then you try to turn the hand a little bit as you're doing almost like a wrist lock number 13, and then you bump with the shoulder. Now when you do this, I was taught a story that the way you trap a monkey is you make a box, put a small hole, and what monkeys will do, and you put fruits and vegetables in, or not vegetables, fruits and nuts inside there, and they will try to stick their hand in that hole, and you make it big enough where they can get their hand in. But once they grab those fruits and nuts, they try to pull their hand out and they get stuck. And I don't know if this is entirely true or not, but that's what I've been told is how you trap a monkey, because they'll just stand there wanting to hold on to it and not realizing if they just let go of the fruits and nuts that they can get their hand back out. Well, the idea of this arm bar is meant to trap the hand. The person punches and you're doing your knife hand to the outside, you come underneath, and it's like you trap that hand. They made a fist, and so bang, I'm just locking onto it, grabbing it, and then bumping with my shoulder behind the elbow. So you can kind of see the trap the monkey, and that's what sometimes this gets nicknamed as trapping the monkey, and you're simply here, okay? So that is the last of the arm bars. So now I'm going to do it where he's on the other side, he's punching right, and I'm going to re-demonstrate this. So this is number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, by the way, number 4, so you can see it better. Let me kind of turning. See, I've got my ribs right into that nerve, okay? Number 5, right here on the outside of the arm instead of the inside. Number 6, let me go ahead and move him back a little bit, and let's try to go from a different angle so you guys can see this from a different way. Number 6, I'm pushing him down just like this. Number 7, I go across and land, and again, using the back of my knee to get behind his elbow. Notice how I've got that palm turned up, so that way all I have to do is put my heel down to injure his elbow. Number 8, I sit on the shoulder and lift up. Remember to keep this palm down. I know you can't see that very well from the video right now. I'm going to roll over. So again, notice how that elbow is right across that hip. I'm holding it and I press down. There's a lot of variations to this. As a matter of fact, a lot of these arm bars, there's a lot of variations, and some are a little better, but this at least teaches you the basic concept. Number 10, let's see here. He's here and he puts his hand behind my waist, and I'm just going to come around, grab, and see how I'm behind his elbow, and I just spin. Number 11, he goes to punch, and I go block and hook. As a matter of fact, the last 4 are all from punches. I hook and grab. I put my palm behind his elbow, and then I just give him a noogie right at that nerve point. And these next ones, you're not going to be able to see them the same way, so I'm going to have him turn his back more to the camera so you can see this from a different angle. He goes to punch, and I step in and go palm block, trap inside, and turn this way. The next one he goes to punch, I do the double forearm block, wrap, and take this knife edge. See how I get behind that elbow right there? And then I'm just going across there. And then the last one, trapping the monkey, knife hand to the outside, other one underneath, use the shoulder to bump behind the elbow. All right, and that is all 14 arm bars, again for 3rd brown going to 2nd brown. If you have any questions, by the way, you can always add your questions on the YouTube link, or you could also do it on Facebook, or you can just send me a message, text me, and ask your question. By all means, I'll be happy to answer it. I'll see you in class soon.